There is no objection. Question number 3, the Honourable Annette King.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Prime Minister. In light of his comments that, quote, New Zealand is to be congratulated because, at least in terms of the gender pay gap, ours is the third lowest in the OECD, end quote, does that mean he is satisfied with the 10.6% gap between men and women's pay in our country?
The Honourable Bill English on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Prime Minister, no. Of course it means there is more change to occur, but New Zealand is in a better position on an international comparison than most other OECD countries.
The Honourable Annette King.
Mr Speaker, supplementary question. Is he aware that a claim against an employer for pay discrimination on the grounds of gender cannot be made unless the claimant has the information to prove that she's being discriminated against? If so, how does he suggest this information be gathered?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, I am aware of that debate, and I understand there's a proposition to introduce a members' bill into the House to resolve it, which of course will be a waste of time because the Labor Party is filibustering all members' days and that bill will never get debated.
Well, the member has... does the member wish to ask a supplementary question? Or is the member raising a point of order?
Oh, well, I'll raise a point of order, Mr Speaker. I thought I did ask a pretty straightforward question, Mr Speaker. And just a flick at the Labor Party and about some other debate hardly satisfies as an answer.
Well, what the Minister said in his answer was he was aware of this issue and the debate around the issue, and that he didn't offer any answer himself because the member asked could he explain how such a person could obtain the information, and the Minister was unable to explain how the person would get the information, but that there was to be a private member's bill to address that. No, that was an answer to the question. The Honourable Annette King.
Supplementary question, Mr Speaker. Does he believe that privacy issues override the rights of women to receive equal pay for equal work? If so, why?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, we're always in government, as a member will know, balancing personal privacy issues with with the requirements of achieving the public good. In the case of pay equity, it is simply not legal to pay people different amounts based on their gender. And there's the opportunity for the courts, the opportunity for individuals or the courts to enforce what's been the law in Parliament for several decades.
The Honourable Annette King.
Supplementary question. If privacy issues can be mitigated as suggested by the Human Rights Commission, will national support legislation that would require employers to report on gender pay rates in their workplace and release aggregated information on gender pay to employees on request?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, if someone proposed legislation of that sort, then we will consider it. But it looks like for the Labor Party it will be a very low priority because they are spending most of the year on the Royal Society Bill, taking up all the members' time available to Parliament.
Materia Ture.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.
Order. I've called Materia Ture.
Sir, I seek leave of the House...
Oh, is it point of order?
Point of order,
I beg your pardon. Point of order, Materia
I seek
Ture.
leave of the House to have the Members' Bill, Pay Equity Members' Bill, in the name of Catherine Delahunty, set down for first reading on the next sitting day.
Leave is sought for that course of action. Is there any objection? There is. There is objection. The Honourable Annette King, supplementary question.
Supplementary question. Does he agree with Elizabeth Bang from the National Council of Women, who said that people should be able to ask if there's a disparity in pay between people and who work in similar positions, and there should be transparency? If so, how does he intend for his government to make it happen?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, the government is yet to see the detail and be persuaded of the merits of the case. But I might point out that significant progress is being made. The measure of the gender pay gap shows that it has dropped from 13% in 2008 to 10.6% in 2010. In fact, it's reduced more quickly over the last 3 years than at any other time since it's been measured.
The Honourable Annette King. The Honourable Annette King.
Given that he said...
I've called the Honourable Annette King.
Given that he said earlier in the week he doesn't know if women are being paid differently because of their gender, will he listen to the growing chorus of leading New Zealand women, from the former Prime Minister, Dame Jenny Shipley, to Janet Tuck, Cathy Quinn, May Chen, Dr Judy McGregor, to name just a few, who are telling the government there is a gap and they ought to do something about it?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, of course the government will listen to anyone who articulates an interesting and challenging point of view. The fact is that there are many causes for the gap in pay, and it has been improving faster in the last 3 years than at any time in the last 15 years.
Supplementary question, Carol Beaumont.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary to the Prime Minister. Does the fact that only a handful of equal pay cases have been taken in the last 30 years under either the Equal Pay Act or the Human Rights Act show that there is no issue with women being paid differently because of gender, or that the existing legislation is not adequate to deal with the problem?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, it's also possible that employers and employees follow the law, and the law says you cannot pay someone differently based on their gender.
Carol Beaumont.
When he is looking closely at the gender pay gap of 27.5% in the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet, will he also look closely at the gender pay gaps of other government departments, which, based on the report of Dr Judy McGregor, include a gap of 29% in Treasury, 30.65% in Education and 26.09% in the Crown Law Office? Or will he put that down to, quote, different people are doing different jobs, it's not an issue of gender, it is an issue of the jobs they perform?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, I certainly agree with the second statement. If there is evidence of pay discrimination in government departments, then the government as an employer has to comply with the law, and we would expect to take action to deal with any pay discrimination.
Question number 4, Katrina Shanks.